Welcome to the Town Manager Download, a podcast about local government and the town of Shrewsbury. Today's podcast episode is going to cover the town of Shrewsbury's actions on environmental and climate change over the matter of the last 10 years or so, and where we're heading in the future. I'm Kevin Mizikar, the Town Manager of the town of Shrewsbury, and as always, I'm joined by Communications Coordinator Taylor Galusha. How's it going, Taylor?
I'm doing well.
Good.
I think we actually took a break technically
We did?
last week. Yeah, I think we're off canter
I didn't
a
even know
little
we
bit.
took a break.
Yeah,
That's how busy we were.
right. Yeah. Caught up.
We're out of cycle.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's
Allegedly.
good. So it's been a couple weeks, so that means you've had a lot going on, at least, because I haven't.
Right.
What's
What's the balance?
What have you been up to?
Well, yesterday I went to the Patriots game
Oh.
with my family.
Good.
So Tom Brady came back and ran down the field, and
saw him on TV.
I got drenched in the rain, and we lost, and it was very frustrating. But I had a lot of fun.
That's
So,
good.
Back to Gillette Stadium, and I'm going to see the Eagles and Steely Dan tonight at the Garden.
Monday night.
It was a last minute decision by my dad. He was like, "Let's go." So did that. We mourned the loss of Jimmy Buffett as a family as well. I think I've said it on one of these episodes before, but that was like my first concert when I was like 6 years old.
Really?
My sister was 4, and we used
I
to
think I do
go.
remember you saying that.
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned that before. So I had sent something about one of his songs or Friday morning. He had a song about Labor Day weekend. And then I woke up to like 4 or 5 messages Saturday morning being like, "Did you see the news?" And I was like, "Yeah." That was a bummer.
Yeah.
I broke my toe at the
Sad.
beach.
Where did this fall in the line of events?
Last Wednesday, I took the day off and broke my toe at the beach. So I guess I'll never take a vacation again.
That's not
So,
advisable. You shouldn't do that.
break my toe or take vacation day.
Whatever you think is best for your own health and safety.
Yeah, so did a lot.
That's great.
Lots
yeah.
of things.
I haven't had a lot going on, to be honest. It's girls back to school and getting back into that cycle. They've been off and running, so I'm just living my life through them at this point. But
Yeah.
So, but back to the normal fall stuff, the fairs of Labor Day weekends, and did those good things. And
We're about to get busy again.
oh
Except this summer was, I feel like, so crazy anyway.
yeah,
but-
work has definitely been busy, and
There was no lull.
plenty on the horizon for sure as we move into the fall.
Yeah, we have...
So what's up in the shrew?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
What's up in the shrew? So we'll talk more about this in this episode, but we've been working through some of our climate action plan engagement sessions. So we've had, I think, like 4 or 5 so far. We've had an online survey open, but we'll kind of get more into that. We'll be at the farmers market the next few weeks.
How's turnout been?
I've been disappointed with the turnout.
Okay.
Because I want everyone to engage with what we're doing as a town. I do hold it like reserved in my head though a little bit because it's municipal operations focused that people might not be as, I guess, interested or feel like it affects them that much because it's specific to municipal operations.
Right, so it's not that community oriented
No.
where we're kind of impacting what they do.
Right,
on a
this is
day-to-day
very
basis.
focused on like what the town and schools do related to climate or just being more eco-friendly and conscious. We had a great session at the senior men's group this past Thursday where we had a lot of good back and forth and good conversations with them. So I'm hoping, or I'm optimistic that maybe we'll get a little bit more turnout at the farmers market and through our online survey. But
We can't
I'll
have
keep trying and I'll keep being there when people want to talk. So.
That's all we can do. And we can't have you talk too much more about it because it's the whole
Right.
episode.
Yeah. So
You
I'm
can't
going
steal
to be
my
quiet now.
Okay, that sounds good. But we are, of course, heading into, I feel like it snuck up on us somehow this year, special town meeting. It clearly didn't sneak up on us, but, you know, it's that 90-day cycle before where you don't want to kind of admit that in 90 days it'll be October 16th, whenever it's the middle of July, but we're well back into that cycle now, nearing the middle of September. So we're framing up a draft warrant that the select board will consider for the first time, I guess, in a little bit more detail tomorrow night, and they'll sign it 2 weeks from tomorrow. So that is clearly front and center in everything that we're doing. And some excitement's already posted on the select board agenda. We have a really interesting business that is considering coming into Centec North, taking up about 125,000 square feet of one of the buildings up there.
Oh, wow.
They go by PI or Physic Instrumente, so very high precision, high tech manufacturing company with operations here in the United States and in Europe. So a lot of good quality jobs, up to 175.
Wow.
So excited about that, having that conversation and going through that process with them. Could be part of the special town meeting if there's any tax incentives that are on the table, and that's something in Shrewsbury we've really, I won't say shied away from, but not pursued a lot. But given the quality of the jobs and the number of jobs, we can't let this one slip by. So we'll continue those conversations with that business. And round out the rest of the special town meeting warrant, probably the traditional 8 to 10 warrant articles, some general bylaw changes, and some financials will consume most of it, which we're in a good spot with. Earlier this morning, today is September 11th, so it was very somber and good event at the new police station this morning, where the 9/11 sculpture was dedicated. A really great piece of work of art, I think, that was done by the Assabet Valley vocational technical students, and we revealed that today and held the town's traditional 9/11 event there that's led by the fire department, as they've been doing for the last 22 years or 21 years, I guess, in remembrance. So that was a nice event this morning, a lot of attendance. And then tomorrow we have the dedication of the new station. So if you haven't been down Maple Avenue in a while, I encourage everyone to do that. The finishing touches are being put on the landscaping work, and it's finally really pulling together. I think it looks great. Tomorrow will be a good recognition of all the hard work that went into the construction of the police station and surrounding municipal campus, and we're excited to get through that. So good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, and the police department will be hosting a community night on September 21st from, I think it's like 4 to 7:30,
Right.
4:30 to 7:30.
Combined with food trucks.
Combined with food trucks, and they'll be, I think they're doing tours
They
of
are
the police
doing- yep.
station at that event. And it's kind of just going to be a lot of the same stuff that the community would see at National Night Out.
Right.
But they wanted to make it a little bit more community Shrewsbury focused. So I'm excited for that. We'll be tabling at that for Climate Action Plan. And Spirit of Shrewsbury is also coming up that same weekend on the 23rd, 24th, I believe.
Right.
And it'll be my first Spirit of Shrewsbury that I've been able to attend.
Okay.
So I'm very excited to have my own little booth to hang out at and talk to people.
Good.
So
That'll bring us back to the next podcast on the following Monday then. So that's the
I have a lot to talk about.
2-week look ahead. All your fans will come visit you.
Yeah, well, my friend Bill from the senior men's group, he did offer for me to sign some newsletters, but nobody took me up on that
Yep.
at that meeting. So
He's working
we'll try
on your
again.
behalf, Mr.
Yes, he
Davis.
is.
That's great. Well, great.
Wanna
A lot
jump
going on.
in?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
So, climate action and what we've kind of been doing leading up to the development of this municipal operations climate action plan. We've done a few different, I guess, steps, if you will,
Yeah.
to kind of get here. Do you want to just summarize the last
Yeah, I think
5-7 years
kind of.
for residents?
So I think things started out with Shrewsbury, a lot of citizen petition initiated endeavors with a focus, I'll call on the environmental aspects, and more over the most recent years, more traction and more outreach has come to the town on climate change and climate resiliency, as I think things have transformed in front of our eyes in some way from weather and other events across the world. So I'll kind of draw the line. I know it's a really recent history and folks have been working on this for a lot longer, but in 2016, the town implemented a plastic shopping bag ban. And that was kind of the first, I think, milestone in at least the last few years of what's been done with regards to environment and climate. And then there's been a series of events that really have happened every year or so thereafter. So in addition to a plastic bag ban, the town has also implemented a polystyrene cup and container ban, and that went into place in about 2020, I think, 2019, 2020. There was a big rallying of residents in 2017 with strong opposition to the extension of a major natural gas pipeline known as the West Boylston Pipeline. So there wasn't really any formal town action, but there was a lot of engagement with residents who rightfully were concerned about the extension of that natural gas line. Never came to fruition. Presentations at the select board meeting and other thoughts around that. But certainly a marker in our timeline. In 2017, we also began our partnership with the state through their Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness, or MVP program, which is a program that really targets helping municipalities develop resiliency and identify challenges that could be associated with climate change and weather events. Moving on from there, in 2018, the town formally, and we were one of the latter communities, or later communities, I guess, in adopting and becoming a green community, which is another state program that helps municipality find clean energy solutions that also reduce long-term energy costs, reduce carbon emissions, and help strengthen the local economy. So that's orchestrated through the Department of Environmental Resources, and they also provide a variety of technical assistance and financial support that municipalities can take advantage of them to help reduce long-term energy costs. So it's provided the opportunity for the town to invest some of our own dollars, and actually about $520,000 of state funding through grants that we've received to make improvements in a variety of municipal buildings, including lighting and HVAC improvements, and really everything's targeted on a specific return on investment because of energy reduction. So there's been a lot of financial incentives provided to the town, and really the Green Community Program has a clear financial incentive to really lead municipalities in the right direction. Just this year, and we're still waiting to understand if we've been successful or not, but we put in another $185,000 grant application. It's a competitive grant process for us. We've been successful in the past, so we're hoping to really take that next step and continue to reduce our energy consumption. Quasi-related to the Green Community Program, we've begun moving our fleet of vehicles. Really started in the police department, moving to hybrid cruisers, and now we have some full EVs in public buildings and water and sewer, and looking at other hybrid options for our entire fleet. We actually have our highway director, Nick Rapekta, that is been invited to go test drive some heavy duty equipment that is fully electric in the coming weeks. So that'll be an exciting opportunity. We know it's still some years away. We have some really specialized heavy duty equipment, both highway and fire and things like that. It'll be interesting to see where Nick thinks those solutions are in their pipeline and when we may be able to avail ourselves of those.
I think that relates to like part of the statement when at the May 2021 annual town meeting, through that citizens petition process, the town emphasized that they'll continue to make those efforts where it's technically and economically responsible. And just kind of, I think it's important for like residents to kind of keep that framework in mind as we go through this process, that's kind of at our forefront to make sure we're taking advantage of those technologies where we can and where it's responsible, like both fiscally and based on operations.
Yeah, we've used the, I guess, term proven innovation in the past when we talked about things in the strategic plan, just to signify that we don't want to be on that cutting edge first adopter of technology because we don't want to risk taxpayer dollars in an investment that's not going to pan out.
Right.
So we have that low risk tolerance. But I definitely agree with you that that statement in the 2021 declaration is really kind of a motto for how we should approach our approach to moving forward with technologies that reduce carbon emissions and things like that. So in, the state along, during this time period that we're talking about, they clearly adopted a 2050 net zero benchmark for the state overall. And that's the time frame that we look to as not only a good goal, but kind of in my opinion, I think it's a goal that we should be able to exceed, but something that we definitely don't want to miss, right?
Right. We want that alignment, but if we can do it sooner,
absolutely.
We will.
Yep. I think the biggest step, or maybe the most consequential step, because it has municipal operations benefits and implications and resident benefits overall without very much implication, is in 2021, Selco, who is the electric utility here in the town of Shrewsbury for all residents, established a 2032 net zero carbon emission for the electricity supply as their goal. And since that time, now, hard to believe, 2 years later, they've made a lot of progress towards that, and that's including diversifying their portfolio, thinking about how they can use technology solutions like battery storage and partner with private developers to bring that goal of 2032 net zero carbon emissions to reality for the electric supply. So we're really fortunate in this instance to be one of 41 municipalities with a public power supply. And it just brings us that clear option that if we move to electrifying municipal buildings and municipal fleet, our energy supplier is going to be carbon neutral.
Right.
So we know that's a clear path forward, and we don't have to be as risky, and we don't have to pursue technologies that may not be proven because we have Selco as a partner in this initiative with us. So
I remember actually, for some reason, when they came and presented this, it was within my first 2 months being here, and I remember their presentation very clearly in my mind, and I do remember that point sticking with me since then. With Selco kind of underpinning our operations, we know exactly where our energy is coming from, and can kind of, I guess, with them being carbon neutral, helps us move in that direction a lot quicker than somebody that has to rely on a private supplier.
Right.
You can't really put pressure on a private supplier in our position.
Yeah. So I think the last major initiative that has seen a lot of public input through the town meeting process, through a citizen petition, is what you mentioned before, Taylor. It's that municipal declaration where we were just clearly voicing Shrewsbury's opinion through a town meeting that there is a climate emergency. We need to pay attention to what's happening in the environment within the community and beyond, and actually play the appropriate role as a local government in that process. And so we picked up from there, and in 2022 with, I'll call, partnership with Tipping Point 01545, which is a local advocacy group for mitigating and the impact of climate change and moving to reduce our fossil fuel use and CO2 emissions. We received funding through town meeting to develop a municipal climate action and resiliency plan, which has been underway for nearly a year at this point, and we've talked about a number of times on the town manager download, and we're really going to dive into today. So using this best practice and leaping forward from that declaration, we're taking actions like what we do with all of our plans. We don't want to put a plan in place just for planning purposes, but we want to be able to move forward and actually do things to.
Yeah. And we did get grant funding as well through
We
the
did.
state
Yep.
for this, as for the development of this.
Yeah, which is a great partnership to have, continuing to just offset our local costs with state dollars and partnerships through their variety of programs, and
Right.
see where it leads. So one other thing along the way, it's quasi-related. I think the adoption of the Community Preservation
Yeah,
Act,
definitely.
so it allows us to bring more dollars in, helps with the preservation of land, building the ecosystem and environmental resources throughout the community with dedicated funding. So that's just another tool kind of in the toolkit that we can use as we move forward. Those resources wouldn't be in place without that citizen initiative and petition that went through town meeting, and we've actually already used it to set some land aside, keep open space, and do that type of preservation activity. And I know more of those things will come in the future. So I think we have a unique guest today.
Yeah,
right?
I was
It'll
just
be
gonna say it's our first virtual,
right. So
virtual
first
guest.
virtual guest and
first outside guest.
right, first non-town employee to join us on the Town Manager Download to talk about the Municipal Climate Action and Resiliency Plan. So without further ado, we will have Tacy Lambiase. We'll have to ask her how to pronounce her name. As our first order of business, from Kim Lundgren Associates, who's the town's key consultant in the development of our climate action. So it's a pleasure to have Tacy Lambiase, project manager with Kim Lundgren Associates, join us today. Tacy, welcome to the Town Manager Download.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Great. We're excited to talk about the town's climate action and resiliency plan. It's a topic that's come up, several times on the Town Manager Download, but we're really interested to diving in with you and getting a better understanding of what's going on with this initiative in the town of Shrewsbury. We love all of our guests to have a opportunity to introduce themselves. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you got into this work and what was your career path, in joining KLA and, your professional background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I had my sustainability aha moment more than 10 years ago when I was a student at the University of Maryland. And I decided to participate in a volunteer alternative break trip, really on a whim, and ended up spending a spring break locally along the Chesapeake Bay. And I spent a week camping on the beach outside of the first LEED Platinum building in the world. And for those who aren't familiar, LEED stands for Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. And that building was the headquarters of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. And the week that I spent volunteering with CBF was absolutely life-changing. It taught me what sustainability work looks like in action and how I could be a part of it. And I came back to campus and decided to declare a sustainability minor and figure out how I could make sustainability fit into my future career. So fast forward, after I graduated, I worked at a nonprofit in Pittsburgh running a sustainability challenge for local businesses and municipalities. I worked on 2 college campuses, including the University of Maryland and their Office of Sustainability. And I also got experience doing communications work, employee engagement, and project management. So by the time I was working at American University and received a master's degree in sustainability management, I had decided that I wanted to start working in the local government space. And I wanted to use my skills to further climate action on the local level, which I think is a really exciting and impactful place to do this work. And KLA is really the perfect place to do that, seeing as we work really exclusively with local governments to do equitable climate action planning. So I'm really happy that I landed at KLA and that I get to be the project manager for your municipal plan. It's been great.
Awesome. So it sounded like you definitely made much better use of your time on spring break than I ever did. But my mom listens to this sometimes, so we're not going to go into those details, even though it's been a while. So so tell us a little bit about KLA. What it is that you all do. You say you focus on municipal climate plans, but give KLA a good shout out.
Yeah, so KLA is a woman-owned small consulting firm, And like I said, we work exclusively with local governments across the country, everywhere from Clark County, Nevada, and Santa Fe, New Mexico, to Indianapolis and Cary, North Carolina. Our very first client was the city of San Antonio, Texas, and they're still one of our clients today. But we have done a lot of work in the state of Massachusetts. Our founder and CEO, Kim Lundgren, wrote the first climate action plan in the Commonwealth for the city of Medford. And so our roots are here, and we love working with local clients. So specifically, we've worked with more than a dozen communities in Massachusetts, several of which, like Shrewsbury, are municipal utilities. Some examples are Concord, Danvers, Wakefield, Wellesley. And the work that we do really spans a wide range. So we do everything from conducting greenhouse gas inventories and climate vulnerability assessments to doing equitable community engagement work and creating community-wide climate action plans. And in the case of Shrewsbury, starting with municipal climate action plans. So we can really take our clients from start to finish through this entire process.
Awesome. So what is a climate action plan?
Oh, a climate action plan is a roadmap to a better and a more equitable future. It lays out goals, strategies, and actions that are specific, that can help communities to both reduce their greenhouse gas emissions and prepare for the impacts of climate change and the hazards that we face today and in the future. So it's really a roadmap for decreasing our impact on climate change, but also preparing for the future and becoming more resilient in the face of climate change too. So it's a lot to do with the people. The people are at the heart of every climate action plan, and how can we make our communities stronger and better places for everyone to live?
Awesome. So what's this process look like that we've gone through in Shrewsbury on the municipal side? And, how do you think about this when you go about supporting communities through an initiative for a climate action plan?
Yeah, so the first thing we like to do is really get to know the community and figure out kind of where we're starting, what's our baseline. So we do a lot of research to start and a lot of data collection to understand what your greenhouse gas emissions portfolio looks like, so where are your emissions coming from, but also what is all the work that you've already done, because a lot of communities have taken some action in this space, and so we want to understand where you're starting from. So we do that kind of a baseline assessment to start. Part of that is the data collection, like I mentioned. So we may do a greenhouse gas inventory to help us understand the sources of your emissions. And then we really dive into the planning process. And that oftentimes involves a climate action advisory committee of some kind. So bringing together stakeholders from local government and from the community and from businesses and local organizations to talk and really figure out what does climate action look like for our community specifically. Because we can come in and say, well, yes, you need to decrease your energy use and switch to renewable energy, and everyone needs to drive an EV, and we need to electrify buildings. We kind of know what everyone needs to do, but our process is really helping you figure out how that happens in your community and in your specific context. So that's why it's really important to bring stakeholders together and do a lot of community engagement work and hearing what the priorities are and what the needs are from community members, so that we could get a really good picture for how to customize a plan to fit your needs and the future that you want to ultimately see. So it does involve a lot of folks along the way. We definitely like to bring everyone in really early and keep people engaged. Because really the planning process is only the first step. Like putting the plan together is a heavy lift, but really the implementation, the part that comes next, is what matters, and that's what's going to be most important and drive success. So we want to get the plan really solid and done as quickly as we can so that we can move into taking action and actually seeing results.
So what are you seeing for Shrewsbury guiding principle wise or focus areas? You said, there's a lot of kind of clearly understandable low-hanging fruit, if you will, that municipalities can do. Are you seeing that here in Shrewsbury, and anything that I guess surprises you or stands out that's different about the town at this point?
Yeah, so for the town of Shrewsbury, we have selected 5 focus areas for the plan. Those are clean energy and efficient buildings, resilient operations, smart waste and water management, sustainable transportation, and vibrant natural resources. And so within that, we're looking at, okay, what falls under the town's operational control? Because this is first the municipal plan. So how can the town take action and make a difference? And what I'm finding in Shrewsbury is that you all have some great internal buy-in already for this process. And I really like the way that you're approaching implementation. So I know there are plans to put together a diverse green team made up of town staff from multiple departments who can come together and hold each other accountable and work together to implement the plan, which I think is really fantastic. Not every community takes that approach. Sometimes implementation for the plan falls to one department or even one person. So I really love that you all are thinking really broadly and want to bring in as many staff as possible into this process, because that's, I think, really how you're going to be most successful, is if sustainability becomes something that is integrated and institutionalized across your local government. So that's just one unique thing that I am seeing in your case that I'm super excited about.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, a lot of conversations that we've had with the select board about two topics, diversity, equity, inclusion, and climate action, has been that these are not these standalone projects, initiatives, goals in and of themselves. Rather, it's a lens that we need to consider all our actions through. So we're excited internally about this approach to climate action and resiliency as well.
Yeah, DEI is the other area that I automatically think of when I think about what needs to be institutionalized. Like, DEI can't be as successful if it's siloed in its own department or only with one person. And the same thing is the case with sustainability and climate action. So that's right on.
So where are we headed with the plan? So we have some focus areas and we're gathering public feedback, but how does this shape up in the next steps?
Yeah, so I know that Taylor's going to walk through some engagement opportunities that are coming up in the next month for folks to provide feedback on the draft plan. So we're still in the process of hearing from community members and understanding folks' priorities and what they think about the draft. And then our plan is to launch the final version of the municipal plan in October. And then from there, the real work begins. As I said before, we start with implementation. So I know that some of the priorities include putting together that green team and really setting up a good structure for implementation. But then alongside that, I know that there's interest in starting on a community-wide climate action planning process, which will be fabulous. So instead of just looking at municipal emissions, we can kind of take that larger view of the entire community and think about, how does everyone move around? How does everyone use energy? How are we all managing waste and trying to be better and live and work more efficiently? So I'm excited that you all are looking to kind of take that next step in that broader view, because that will really be another great space to involve community members too.
So, Tacy, I've seen some communities, mainly I think out west. I've heard of some communities in Colorado who have begun moving to use municipal zoning and code enforcement and those types of regulations within the climate space to drive climate goals. Is that a trend that you're seeing in your work as well?
Yeah, I think it really just depends on the community and the part of the country that we're talking about. So there is quite a bit of support for this kind of work in Massachusetts, which is awesome. For some of our other communities, they're actually limited in terms of what they can do in terms of zoning and bylaws, or even just what they can and can't mandate. So in some states, that work really has to happen at the state level. Okay. Local governments don't have that much control. But we're finding that in Massachusetts, you all do have some really great opportunities to work within local and state regulations. So I'm thinking about like the MBTA communities. And that is put in place now, where some transit-oriented development is being encouraged at the community level. I think that's fabulous. So I think there are definitely opportunities for that in Massachusetts too.
Great. So Taylor, what's on the horizon for community outreach? I know you it's a topic of conversation that we have nearly every episode with
Yeah.
what's going on, but how's that play into this picture?
Yeah, so we've taken the same approach that we took for the strategic plan of kind of meeting residents where they are, and trying to offer as many different kinds and types of engagement for our community, whether they work a 9 to 5 or they stay at home, or work the overnight shift. There's always time for them to kind of be a part of this process. We picked different days of the week to have sessions, different times a day, whether it's virtual, in person, or just attending other community events. So coming up in the next few weeks, we will have our last in-person formal presentation on September 19th at 7 o'clock at the Senior Center, which is someone could expect us to go through a presentation for the first chunk of that.
Okay.
And then we have poster boards set up around the room for people to kind of walk around and leave their thoughts written down in that way. We also have our community event roster kind of filled up for the next month. We'll be at the Farmers Market this Wednesday, September 6th, next Wednesday, September 13th, and then again, like I said at the top of the episode, we'll be at Spirit of Shrewsbury in the police community night.
Great.
Additionally, we have our online survey that people can access at any time of day. They can fill out as many questions or as little questions as they want to engage with. But again, kind of just wanted to meet people where they are in terms of how engaged they want to be with the plan. So lots of stuff and things.
As we go through this kind of final community feedback and we look towards moving from a draft to a final plan, Tacy, what does our timeline look like for that? When can we expect this to be at the select board? Just generally at this point?
Yeah, so I know that we will be taking public comments through September 30th, and then we are slating to have a final plan ready by that last week in October, if not sooner. Okay. So I think we're targeting the week of October 23rd. Maybe don't hold me to that. I need to look up. But that is what we're aiming for, so it's coming up really quickly.
Great. I know a lot of work has gone into this. This is an initiative that we put out on the street and had a lot of interest from a number of consultants, and we're very fortunate to have KLA come on board and support us through this. It's been a detailed process that I'm personally looking forward to. The perspective of the community, the perspective of KLA, and the core group from Tipping Point. That come together to really find a path forward for us, really for Shrewsbury as a local government to do our part. That's what we're looking to do through this initiative and be part of the solution to the challenges that we're all facing and unfortunately seeing come to fruition more and more on a day-to-day basis. So, Tacy, I want to thank you not only for your work on the climate action plan for the town, but also taking the time out of your schedule to be with us on the Town Manager Download. It's been really great to get up to speed on the project and help inform residents and listeners of how we think about this initiative and what we can do as the town. So any final thoughts for us?
I would just like to give you all kudos for taking on this work. I think it's really important to do climate action planning on the municipal level. It's an opportunity for you all to lead by example and really show the rest of the community that this work is possible and also how it can be done. So you all are in a great place to be really consistent with your messaging, to create enabling environments that get this work done. So I'm just really excited to see what's next for you all, and thanks so much for having me on today.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time. That was Tacy Lambiase of KLA, who's supporting the town of Shrewsbury on a climate action and resiliency plan. This has been another great, fast conversation on the Town Manager Download. Just a reminder, if anyone has any questions or comments, ideas about a future show, you can reach us at tmdownload@shrewsburyma.gov. So on behalf of Taylor Galusha, I'm Town Manager Kevin Mizikar. Thank you for listening.